Good morning, everyone. Hi from sunny Mumbai. The skies are clear, the air is clean and fresh, and the birds are chirping. How are you doing, Supreet, this morning?
I'm doing good. I woke up early. I did my yoga, and yeah, the day looks nice. The skies look clear, and I'm hoping things are going to get better on the numbers of COVID also.
Great. So this is the second day of my daily reflections during COVID-19. I'm chatting with my friends. It's an informal chat about 20 minutes or so, where we are going to talk about, your experiences during this crisis, but also how you're coping and, um, how what you look forward to. So it's very informal. And for everyone out there, thank you for joining. Supreet is my buddy, my partner in crime or good crime, whatever you want to call it. She is my sister from another mother. She's a yoga charya. She's many things. So maybe you want to just, tell us about, what made you become a yoga charya.
What made me become a yoga acharya?
Yeah.
So I think it's a long story. I was introduced to yoga by my mother when I was very small, when I was very young, and I reached a stage in life when I was transitioning from a corporate world to doing something on my own. I was writing, I was doing photography, and I had a few incidents which were extremely emotional and touching, and I wanted to see how is it that I can make lives better, not only for myself but for others, contribute somewhere to someone. And I think yoga was just the calling where I wanted to go and channelize myself, my thoughts, my energy, and that's how it started in 2010. And then there was no looking back. It's been a journey since then, and every 3 years I go back to do something further in my own sadhana. And yeah, here I am, Yoga Acharya, and I recently got the title of Yoga Bhaskara as well.
And what does that mean? For those of us who
So,
don't know what it means.
so 500 hours of yoga gives you a yoga acharya. But when you do sadhana, which is intense sadhana and practice for yourself, where you do around 9 hours of yoga and another 4 hours of pranayama every day for around 14 days, while you eat only rice and lentils without any spices and salt. When you've done that a few times, you get to be called Yoga Bhaskara.
Great. So, you've lived a life that is your own path in a way. You were an MBA graduate, joined beverage company, and was on a fast track. And then things happened. You unfortunately had to quit, and you landed up on my desk at Kingfisher Airlines. That's how I met you. But since then, even post Kingfisher, you went on to be CEO of an import-export company. You're a fashion designer, and the export business. Then you were in the wine business, and then you were you're now a partner with me at Red Dot. You're also a filmmaker, and you're an yoga acharya. So, talk a little bit about these twists and turns in your life and in your journey, and how did you cope during those times?
So I think I know the incident was unfortunate when I finished my first stint in corporate world and I went to London. The incident was extremely unfortunate, but I think somewhere there was something destined for me, which is why I landed up on your table. In some ways, I'm glad that happened because I got to meet you and I am where I am because I think you have a big, big part in playing in who I am and how I shaped up eventually. So thank you for that. And I thank the world and the universe for doing that to me. But I think once I came back here and I met you and I met my partner at that time. I never had the time initially during my schooling and my college to actually look at who I am, to look at what I wanted to do. I had some very clear goals: do your MBA, start working, make money, take care of family. That's what I always wanted to do. I was like the stereotypical son of the family, like they say. um, but my parents, coming from army background, both of them, they had kind of told me that I could do what I wanted, but I chose not to for the longest time. And when I met you, and when I met my partner, I decided that maybe it's time that I start looking at myself, and do things for myself. And that's how my journey started shifting, and there were turns which started coming in. And the first turn was, of course, I left corporate world and I started writing, started doing photography. And I mean, life for a woman is never easy in this country sometimes. And so when I was going through my separation, I had to go out and look out for a job again, which would give me a salary on a monthly basis, and which is how I went back into corporate world. I became a wine connoisseur. I started working in this export house, which was designing couture clothings and embroideries for Dior and Gucci and Givenchy. And that's how I got back a little bit into the corporate world. But then came Elsa de Silva. And she started Safe City, and that's how I got back into Safe City. And I started writing because I think a couple of people in my life always kept on pushing me into doing what I should be doing. And I started writing during that part, and I started chronicling my own life learnings. And that's how my first short film happened. And I realized that my calling was to be a part of Safe City and to make my films. And so here I am. I left everything, and I, at an age when probably people are settling down and thinking of retiring, I started a new career. And this is where I am.
So Maya Angelou says each time a woman stands up for herself without knowing it possibly, without claiming it, she stands up for all women. Do you resonate with the statement?
I absolutely do. I think I absolutely do. I mean, unknowingly, I never thought that I was doing something which would influence somebody else's life, which would impact somebody else and make somebody else feel that even they can take a change at some later part in life, that a man is not always the only important part that you need to settle down for and with. And I think that has happened. And a lot of ways, when we work with girls and women now, and when you share your story with them, I mean, in solidarity, everyone is coming out and talking about the same struggle that probably you went through. And the hope you give them that, you can go through all those 10, 20 years of your life and you can still be successful and change your transition from something that you were thinking you are made for into something that you are today. I think it's the most beautiful and magical feeling.
Great. So tell me something. We've been locked up, locked down, whatever you want to call it, socially distancing, physical distancing, social isolation, all these words, in our small apartments in Mumbai. You and I don't live very far from each other, yet we cannot visit each other. Unfortunately, we can only shake hands digitally. But how are you coping?
Honestly, I think this. We work remotely. We worked remotely for the longest time now, since I think Safe
And we
City
were
was
just about to move into an office, weren't we?
yeah. I know. I mean, but I think every time people would say, we want an office, and we would say we don't really need an office. I mean, let's not put money in the place where we don't really need it. And today, when we're sitting back, honestly, I think we made a brilliant decision. But having said that, how my coping is, it's not really very different in terms of the time, the way it is spent in the day. I used to go to my film office for the last 1 year. I've been going there regularly, but I would work remotely from home as well. So where work is concerned, I don't think that has really got impacted in terms of how I am spending my time in the day. But yes, I have a lot of additional work now because I have somebody who's living with me. So I need to, there's food to cook. There's a house to clean. And you realize that these are things which are very, which you should be used to doing. we are so dependent on these ladies who come and help us at home, that we actually were living in luxury. So it kind of brings you, it's brought me closer to my existence and to realizing to value. I mean, we don't value these small things in life, and I really am grateful that, we were born to the people we were born to, because we are privileged to sit in a house, to actually have food, to have shelter, and to be able to talk to each other through internet, to be educated, to navigate our life through this crisis. And at the same time, it saddens me, that we've been trying to see how we can help the masses of these cities who live without a shelter. They are homeless. The migrants who have come from other smaller towns and villages to make our cities, build our cities. So it's a little bit of helplessness, because you can't really go out. My society is on a shutdown. We can't get out of our homes anymore. And you want to do something, and sometimes you just feel that this is not enough, and you're too privileged to be sitting here and enjoying your day and thinking about how to spend your time, while there are people who are figuring out where to get their next meal from. So, I mean, a lot of reflections on that. Yes.
And not very different from maybe your life in the ashram, for example, because,
Oh,
except for waking up at 5 in the morning and eating twice a day, you're pretty much living the
oh.
same. Wake
Waking
up
up
at
at
4 in the
4.
morning. Okay,
Yeah.
great. So when you look at all those images on the internet and all those forwards of, the millions being stuck on the roads, I can't get them off my mind. So how are you coping? Like, how do you stay positive? What are the tips that you can give us to stay positive? Because I find, I'm very helpless. Even though I'm trying my best to do as much as I can, I just feel it's not enough. So what are you doing to stay positive, and what would you suggest to us?
I think I think reflection on your own life is something which constantly happens with every time you see a screen image of people with big bundles of clothes and water on their head, walking on the road for miles and miles. I mean, and you wonder as to what is it that you have been doing in the past which is not correct, which is why these are the people who are still stuck on the road. I do meditate. I And because that we together work on very solution oriented conversations and dialogues and collaborations with people, I think constantly trying to talk to people who are doing something for these people and who are on the ground is something which can also help. Constantly building the pressure on the governments to do something for these people. I mean, even if you can impact and influence, help one person out of these million of people on the roads, I think that will really help you. uh, I mean, we are doing that constantly. We are trying to reach out to as many people, trying to mobilize communities to see what can we do for these people. I think that also helps. So somewhere you need to keep on progressing and moving, keep on walking forward, not get stuck with the thought of you're not able to do anything. Whatever you can do to the smallest of smallest step can help in some way. I think value the fact that you are with your loved ones, that your people, your friends, your families are safe. I think that should give you some comfort that now that you have your family in place, maybe now it's time that you take care of at least one more family. So helping my maid is something which I think I feel really good about. Telling her what she should do, making sure the money reaches her, food reaches her. I mean, that also makes me happy. So there's small things that I think we all can do to feel a little better in the day, little positive. This is not going to end the race. This is going to end. We are going to fight COVID, and we are going to make sure that this does not pull us down. But the fact is that we have millions of people on the roads, and we need to do something for them. So what is it that we can do? Simple things like, I was asking my friends who own export houses, can they give fabric for people to make masks? You all are sitting at home, women are sitting at home, men are sitting at home. Can they make masks to go out and to be given to these people? So we are trying to mobilize that also. So if you constantly stay busy with some form of action to help somebody, I think you won't get stuck with the thought of, oh my god, what's going to happen? Is the world coming to an end? And I think that's progressive.
You're from an army background. Your father worked for many, many years. You've traveled and lived all over India, but you are originally from Kashmir. And, some time ago, you even went with relief materials over there. Tell us a little bit about that, experience.
So this was in 2014 when there were floods in Srinagar. Um, so I am from Kashmir, but for some reason the families have always been in army. So we've never lived there. We've only gone back for summer holidays, and we still have an ancestral home there. We still have some families there. We've lost some relatives to terrorism as well. So it's a very it's always a very emotional journey whenever I go back to Kashmir. And being an army kid, we are not actually allowed to go back because there is a hefty price on the daughter of an army officer, on the wife of an army officer, or a retired army officer. So it's always a little bit of a security issue also. But coming from that state, I mean, it never was a thought that stayed beyond a moment when somebody would tell you that, maybe you shouldn't go. But having said that, in 2014, when there were floods, and I, I I was consciously, I wanted to do something, and I didn't know how to be there and do something. But somehow we managed. I think it. We got together almost stuff for, I think, 350 400 kilograms kgs, and because of our aviation connects, we managed to get. I think Goyer is the flight carrier which took me and the staff without charging us anything at all. I stayed there for almost, I think, 10 days, and I worked with this group of young Muslim boys who were doctors, who were engineers, and I was the only girl who got in touch with them to work on the ground. They were the only group of people who were actually reaching out to rural Kashmir, where none of the administration people had reached, none of the state government people had reached, none of the forces had reached so far. There was no girl who was going out on the ground, so women didn't know who to ask for sanitary napkins. The kids didn't have diapers. Small things, which women, coming from a society which is Muslim, where women don't probably also ask each other or talk to each other so much. It was like, we were swamped by the women of Kashmir. I mean, there was nobody in that every camp we would go, but just women, because they saw one woman from the other side who probably will have something which will help them. It was extremely moving. We had to wade through water in some places, which was really murky, really dirty, and these people were living there. So to be on ground with them, to see what they were going through, was just so moving. And the best part about that whole trip was, I was a Sikh girl, I was an army kid, I was working with young Muslim boys. Not once did I hear anyone say anything which was about, oh, you are a girl, you can't be here, oh, you are not Muslim, you can't go to Muslim communities, oh, you are an army kid, you shouldn't even be here, or I mean, nobody, there was no hatred at all. They were only talking about how do we take the community forward, and how do we progress, and how can we take the message back to wherever we come from, and say that, this community is trying very hard to survive, and they want to live in harmony and peace. How can you help us do that? I know that a lot of people during that time also used politics and regional discord to create problems, and I got into a lot of arguments with a lot of people because I was on ground working with these people. Uh, but honestly, I didn't feel any different. I felt that they were like you and me sitting in Bombay helping people. These are just kids who are trying to do the same thing in Kashmir. And yeah, it was just a very moving experience. I got sick towards the end. I got the flu, so I was told by the doctor to go back into the field. So I had to come back. But I'm still in touch with those young kids. They have still not given out their names. They call them the anonymous group, and they keep on coming back every time there's some form of natural calamity to come and help the people. Yeah, it stays very close to me.
Yeah, I remember all your stories from that time. And when this coronavirus COVID-19 is over, this crisis is over, what are you looking forward to the most?
I think I really want this epidemic to get over. I want people to reach their homes and be safe. But I think this period itself is extremely valuable because I feel, we all are always running. It's almost like nature has told the world, has like potted from all the sides and said, stop, you know, focus, realize what you have, value what you have, think about what you've been doing so far. Is it worth it? So we are all in that self-reflecting zone, in our lives. And I am very excited to see how we are going to be, how are we going to change our lives when we get out of it. What are we going to take forward from here? Are we going to slow down and cherish each other in countries like ours where life is not valued so much? Are we going to value each other? Are we going to respect each other? Is the class which only works for us, so to say, works for us? Are we going to value them more? Are we going to fight for them to come up to our level so that if ever, God forbid, we face this calamity again, can we all be on the same level of survival, at least the least that we can do. So I'm going to fight for with you. We are going to do this together. I think we are going to fight for a lot of policy changes to make sure that these basic survival points are taken care of and everyone is on the same page eventually. I'm going to work very hard for that, and I know that we both are going to be working on that.
For sure. So, on that note, we come to the end of our daily reflections. If you just have last thoughts for people to stay safe and healthy and sane during this time?
Yes, I think this is a time when you can completely lose yourself into doing nothing and everything. You'll have no discipline. If you can make a regimen for yourself to give yourself some time in the morning, exercise a little bit, look at your immunity. The one thing that can really make sure that you don't get infected by COVID is to raise your immunity. So work on it. Alkaline fruits are brilliant. Oranges, lemon. Please just have as many as you can. Spend time talking to the people you're with the loved ones. If you are alone, then make phone calls, speak to your friends and family. Do something creative. Maybe learn something new that you've always wanted to learn and never had the time. I've been wanting to learn guitar for the longest time, and my friend is taking online classes with me now. We are creating music now, and it's beautiful. So three things: keep healthy, build your immunity, stay in touch with your friends and families, discipline yourself, and learn something new. I don't think it's difficult to do. You have all the time in the world and nowhere to go.
You have nowhere to go, no one to meet except online, and all the time in the world. So use it well. You won't get this time back again. Thank you, Supreet,
Yes.
and everyone.
Thank
Stay
you.
at home, stay safe, and be kind. Bye.
Stay safe. Bye.